You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, October 20th, 2022. NASCAR is heading to the best intermediate on the schedule with their best handling intermediate car in quite some time. I can't wait, but I might not even be watching. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Also, Formula One is now into what I like to affectionately call garbage time, now that we have the champion decided as they head into the United States Grand Prix. And to help me talk about all of this, of course, are my co-hosts, Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward.
How's it going tonight?
How's it going, everyone?
I have been better. If you are in the chat, make sure you get your comments in. We'll read them out during the show. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to go ahead and get started. And boys, we were talking during the break. I'm so glad we are doing this show tonight instead of yesterday, because unless you have been under a rock, Bubba Wallace got suspended for sending some retaliation Kyle Larson's way after
I forgot I was in Discord.
Larson kind of ran him up the wall coming off of turn 4 at the beginning of stage 2. Bubba took exception of that and threw the old left hook, sent Larson and himself right into the wall. Poor Christopher Bell had nowhere to go and got caught up into that. Bubba then got out the car, pushed Larson. The basic NASCAR driver is mad at somebody's stuff. So we get to Tuesday, and Bubba Wallace is apparently suspended this week for the incident. I'm going to try really hard not to say what I want to say, because if I say what I want to say, we're going to get in trouble. But what I am going to say is this is the worst time and the worst driver for NASCAR's inconsistency to kick in. We have seen over this season alone much worse intentional wrecks not get called for a penalty of this magnitude. Noah Gragson, who I brought up a lot on Twitter, who has a laundry list over the last 2 years of drivers he's fought with, taken out, or the mixture of the two, destroyed half the Xfinity field at Road America. All he got was a points penalty and a fine. But Bubba Wallace turns one guy into the wall. I don't care about the speed. I don't care about where it was in the track. It was one guy. And then another guy got caught into it. And he's sitting at home. Now, the last time y'all suspended somebody in the Cup Series for this was because Matt Kenseth, and that was extenuating circumstances because that was premeditated as heck. We all remember that incident. I don't have to go through with that. That was the last time. That was the precedent of the level that garners a suspension. Now, all of a sudden, we're suspending for what Bubba did? That's suspension worthy. And then the Steve, I don't remember which one it was, gets on Sirius XM NASCAR. Well, we thought it was a dangerous situation. How about when half your Xfinity field got destroyed? How about when Ben Rhodes and Carson Hocevar in the Truck Series were destroying people? That wasn't a suspension? I mean, you got Johnny Sauter, but Ray Charles could have made that call. But you couldn't get Hocevar or Rhodes for what they did? Heck, I'll even go Toyota. Maybe Ty Gibbs should have sat at home for one of the ones he did this year. You didn't sit him. But the black guy sitting at home, that's what we doing? And I don't want to go down that road, because if I go down that road, we're going to be sitting here for like 15 more minutes. But if this is going to be the standard, if this is going to be the call, that intentionally wrecking is a one-race suspension, every single person from here to the end of time that wrecks somebody better be sitting at home when they do it. Because if we have to come back on this show and somebody's intentionally wrecked somebody and it's still in the race next week and Bubba didn't get the race this week, we going to have a problem. And y'all going to see another side of me. Because I did not hold, I tried to hold it together on Twitter. Some of y'all may have saw it. People talk about me playing a race card. Oh, no. Y'all don't understand why I'm saying things the way I'm saying it. Michael understand this. The rules are different for people that look like myself, him, than they are for Chris, unfortunately. Not of our own making. Because too many times in this country, black people are punished for the same things that white people are celebrated for. And I really believe that is what's happened here this weekend. I really do. And if folks, oh, you're just playing the race card, you're just this, that, and the other, you haven't walked a mile in my shoes. You weren't a 10-year-old getting on an elevator to go to a doctor's appointment. I think it was an orthodontist appointment. And some white lady in front of you clutches their purse to their chest when you walk in. I'm 10 years old. My mother's standing right next to me. You really think I'm going to take your purse? Now, my mother noticed that I didn't at the time. But the more I sit back, the more it trips me out that that even happened. We are perceived as threats, black men, for no reason. And when we get angry, more so. And some of the comments I saw on social media about Bubba Wallace, on my own TikTok, on Twitter, on YouTube with the NASCAR YouTubers, was absolutely ridiculous. Somebody had the absolute nerve, to call Bubba Wallace the Ryan Leaf of NASCAR. That is a video someone made 9 minutes on. And I was going to watch it to rebut it, but I did not give that person the time of day. I took them off my follow list. That person ended up getting suspended from Twitter for an unrelated matter, which we're not even going to get into because apparently that person's got a laundry list of issues. My fiance actually called it the minute we noticed, oh, he did that on purpose, that he was going to get suspended. Because we are not allowed to do what people that don't look like us do. Because if that was a perfect example, Denny Hamlin spent the bulk of the Gateway race trying to kill Ross Chastain, and the same blue check marks that were crushing Bubba were kiki ha ha watching Denny Hamlin chase Ross Chastain around. Now, believe me, it was funny, and I really wanted him to turn him, but he didn't do it. But how dare you kiki ha ha that, but then act like what Bubba did was tantamount to vehicular manslaughter. And believe me, when he wins again, I'm this you and everybody. La-da-da-da, everybody getting a this you. I'm going this week. I'm screenshotting everything on the phone. The first person that celebrates his win. This you? This you? This you? I'm making everybody mad. But I'll round it back to this. You want to suspend people? Fine. You should have did this in June. But we ain't going to talk, or July, sorry. But we're not going to go there. This better be the standard going forward. Because I'm not going to stand for the inconsistency nonsense this time. and that's about the best way I can put that.
So, is it safe to speak now?
Yeah. So I've said, let me tell you, I told them during the break or before we started, I'm so glad we're doing this show today and not on Tuesday, because Tuesday would have been worse. Because y'all know it was one of the old show hosts at my previous job, WBGR, used to say, I'm real with mine. So I'm just going to put it out there. And whether you like me, dislike me, I don't care. I'm going to wear my feelings on my sleeve. And that's where I feel on it. So, Chris, Michael, we know the score. What do y'all think?
Chris, you want to go first? Is he even paying attention? Chris, you there?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I was just getting caught up on some beauty sleep.
Oh, man.
No. Obviously, as far as, obviously the three of us, We have a different look about us, and so I can't really comment on anything that you guys have gone through. Um, I guess as far as what I see from the data standpoint, is that William Byron, we all know that there was an issue with him and Denny Hamlin a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the rule book was changed as a result of the successful appeal of William Byron. And what they did was they went in and changed a lot of the terminology. And I think that overall, this conversation that Daryl just had could have been avoided if those changes were publicly known before Bubba was suspended. If if after the William Byron thing came out and they said, "Hey, we made some adjustments to the rule book," most of us wouldn't have read it, right? We're not going to go read what the punishments are. However, saying like, oh, when they say, oh yeah, we put these new rules out with William Byron, we did a press release, or we released what it was, then that's on us for not reading it and understanding. Um, but it's just a lack of transparency, I think. I never heard anything about the rules changing, and all they did was they went in and changed some terminology, some and or statements, and remove the or part of that statement. And that was as a result of the William Byron's successful appeal of his punishment. And so we're going to see how this goes moving forward. This is the first time since they made these rule changes. There's always going to be a first. And what we need to see happen is that if this is consistent going forward, this is something I can live with, because the rules were made before the South Point 400. The rules were in the book. It was all clearly stated. So as long as we're taking interpretation out and we're saying that this is a rule, we're going by the book as it's stated, then I'm fine. I'm okay, right? This is the standard going forward. This is always going to be until we make more rule changes later on. Okay, I can live with this. However, if the next time we see a blatant retaliation, um, on track, specifically with the cars, because I don't think anything in the infield where he was getting physical with Kyle, I don't think that was what led to the penalty. I think it was the on track, the actual using of the car to turn another car. So what we need to see is when it's a blatant in car on track during the race retaliation. That's when we pull out this penalty, which is a one race suspension. Um, so it's probably something we're going to see. We might not see it again this season. There's probably a decent chance.
All right.
And sorry, I think Michael's mic picked up something there. And oh, it's okay. So we'll see. As long as we're consistent, I'm okay with this. If we are not consistent, then we need to have a conversation. That's probably the best that I can put it. Do you have any thoughts on that, Michael?
Um, as a motorsports and NASCAR enjoyer, to me, retaliation and stuff like that has always been a part of NASCAR. I think the issue now is like people are kind of starting to abuse it. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have been watching more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's just a staple in the sport. Like this type of sport, retaliation is going to happen. But I I know the rules were changed, but it's just like I kind of feel like when I don't know, I kind of feel like Daryl's not gonna like what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna feel like Chris is not gonna like what I'm gonna say. I feel like Baba shouldn't have gotten himself in that type of position anyway. And I know what he said is, he doesn't lift, but in my opinion, it's just like if it's early in the race and you're racing like that, I really feel like you should let the guy go because maybe he had a fast car. He had a top 10 car.
Yeah,
And he
I
could
mean
have,
it's the same car that won at Kansas, so we know that
yeah,
car's quick.
yeah. So I'm like, why not let him go? You try to catch up again later. I don't think he should have got himself in that position in the first place.
Yeah. I mean somebody's got to lift, but unfortunately, you know,
Nobody decided, he didn't decide to live.
yeah.
And, you know, I understand retaliation. I understand he was heated from getting put into the wall.
Hmm.
But, don't do anything that would ruin your race. That he ruined his race. That's the main issue I have with that. I don't really have much of an issue with him retaliating because I've been watching the sport for a long time. That's just part of the sport to me.
Yeah.
Turning a guy, that's just part of the sport to me.
I mean, my whole thing would have been go down in the corner, turn him. At least then you can make it look like, oh, it just got loose or whatever. But
No, you can do what they was telling us in the pit booth when Byron do it. Oh, I was looking at my gauges, but you know,
Yeah, I think what got Bubba into trouble is that he made no attempts to hide what he was doing.
yeah,
He literally bounced off the wall, said F it, and just turned left and chased Larson down and spun him.
yeah,
I
yep.
think that if it wasn't so blatant, he probably wouldn't have got penalized. If he had just pulled and realistically, I mean, Bubba started turning the instant he bounced off that wall, and he said that the car was killed, but he doesn't know that. Not that instantaneously.
I think the telemetry they said something about the telemetry that his car actually wasn't broke. It was, you know, he
I mean, we
actually,
we know we all know what happened. Like
yeah, we all know
Yeah.
what happened.
And
he said, "Screw you, wall," is what he said.
And I
yeah.
and like
And,
I was saying, like I don't think you should have. You had a good car. I don't think you should have put yourself in that position to, you know, ruin your race. Let the guy
Yeah,
go, and
yeah,
that's
and
just me.
you put it in the notebook for later, right?
Yeah,
yep.
and that's just kind of the mindset I have.
Yeah.
I feel
And
like this is. I'm sorry, Chris. I feel like this was suspension. Is warranted because in the rules it is stated, like you said, Chris, if you turn somebody like that, you're getting suspended. But I feel like I feel like he shouldn't have gotten himself in that type of scenario to begin with. That's where I'm coming
yeah, and overall I would agree with you on that, Michael. Um
from.
it was very Bubba's obviously never shied away with expressing how emotional that he is.
Right.
I think that's something that's actually drawn a lot of people to him is um, he's so open about I don't want to say his mental health, but um, just kind of being an emotional person wearing your heart on your sleeve. I think that's something that draws people into him. And I would hope that people find that more of a reason to be a fan of him more than the color of his skin. To be honest with you, is his character.
Yeah.
Um,
I think he
and
has a I think he has a great character. I think he's a great driver. I just I just feel like people aren't seeing what I'm seeing when it comes to
Well,
him.
well, some
They're,
folks
they're,
also don't want to see what we're seeing.
yeah,
yeah,
they really don't.
and I don't think that it would be off the deep end to say that he can get hot sometimes, and we have seen this throughout NASCAR. I mean, look at Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch. I mean, these are
Kyle
people
Busch.
who and Kyle. Yeah, I mean, these are
Especially
all
Kyle
drivers.
Busch.
These are all drivers who we have called hotheads before, who have let emotion kind of dictate logic, even temporarily. And maybe, I don't want to say that we're throwing Bubba into that, but maybe if this happens another couple times, maybe we do talk about how he's got some maturing to do on track. And just because a little restraint would have went a long way,
Yeah.
and you could say that about anybody.
You
But I think something that Denny should be talking to Bubba about is, hey, look, if your car is broke, then go for it, right? Do whatever the hell you want. But if your car is not broke, as a team owner, I don't want you destroying that car.
Yeah.
And there's a better way to get somebody back, and you do it later, not not 200 feet later, but we're talking a couple races later at the most. Larson's not racing for anything this season, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
He's not racing for anything. So
You
why
you
now
could
he burned his retaliation. He can't do it again.
yeah, and
He
also
got it out of the way.
think about this. He's racing for an Owners Championship.
Well, no, he's out of that.
Oh,
Yeah, he's out of that.
He got eliminated last week, so both of them are just racing for pride at this point.
So
Oh, I just think about like how he could have got a great finish. That's my thing.
I mean, he could have won that race, and now it's gone.
And that's something that you live and you learn, right? Kurt Busch was hot, and as he got older and matured and got experience and probably surrounded himself with good people, which I think Kurt is a good person for Bubba to be with.
And I hope Kurt has been with him this week, because that's the best person to talk to and learn from this. Because Kurt Busch, I talked about it on TikTok. He was a wild child there after he won his championship. So he'd be the perfect person to talk to about this.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Kurt seems like a really good guy who's very genuine about who he is. And I'm sure that Kurt has talked to Bubba, probably at length to a degree about, what to do. And it'd be really cool if Kurt called Bubba and said, hey, come over to my place, and we'll watch the race and talk. And that type of thing could really change Bubba and give him a new perspective on things. And Kurt could probably teach him a thing or two about retaliation and how to practice restraint, and then use that card when it actually matters. Because, like I said, he used his retaliation card on Kyle Larson. He can't play it again before one's owed to him. And you squandered it on something. Denny's got a whole book of receipts on Ross Chastain, and Denny's waiting. He's waiting till Martinsville. That is when the debt gets paid to Ross Chastain, is Martinsville. Or if he's in the lead at Homestead, Miami, and Denny Hamlin is going to go a lap down. That's the other time you'll see one of those IOUs get cashed in. And that's a smart way.
So other than, that, what did y'all think of the race? Because I thought it was the best intermediate of the year. A lot of comers and goers, a lot of multi-lane racing. It was a lot of fun on Sunday until, the Bubba thing, before and after the Bubba thing. But
yeah,
I thought it was a good race.
It was a really good race.
Mm-hmm.
I think these cars are really good on these intermediate tracks. And go ahead.
Yeah, they just got to fix them on the short tracks now.
Yeah, definitely. And also, can we talk about Logano? Because I thought he was much of a dark horse in much of the season, but he's a real championship contender right now. I didn't think he would actually make the Final Four.
That guy knows how to turn it on when the pay window's near, and good Lord, did he have some speed that last stage. I don't know where he came from. He just told his teammates, see ya, and just ran away with it. I cannot remember the name of the Twitter account, but they post if the last 50 laps went green where the cars would have finished. Denny Hamlin would have finished, or not Denny Hamlin, sorry. Joey Logano would have finished like half a straightaway ahead of the rest of the field if that whole thing went green. That's how fast he was in that final stanza. So they've turned it on at the right time. I don't think you can sleep on him going to Phoenix.
I don't think you can either, especially with how he's been performing now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a serious threat. And like I said, his title chances came out of nowhere for me. Like it's like he had a quiet season.
Yeah.
And
Chris,
now
what do you think about what do you think about Mr. Logano?
My prediction is whoever wins Martinsville wins the championship.
Really?
So it's all eyes on Martinsville basically.
Because, well, and here's my reasoning is that the short track package this year is garbage. It's terrible.
You are not wrong.
And so whoever wins Martinsville, I believe they're going to use a very similar setup at Phoenix because it's similar to Martinsville, flat corners or more or less flat, very short tracky. And I think whoever masters the short track garbage package probably has the best shot at winning Phoenix. That's just my guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll throw another question. Do you think the winner in Phoenix earlier this year has a chance to win?
I don't know who won Phoenix earlier this year, to be honest with you.
I can check that. It feels so long ago, and we haven't had a lot of repeat winners, so I do not blame you for not remembering because we've had so many winners this season.
That's the thing to add to our planning sheet is schedule who won.
Yeah, if we're coming into it place the next time. It was Chase Briscoe that won last time.
That's an intriguing one. That's really intriguing.
Yeah, and if you did not remember that, which none of us did, I don't fault you because Briscoe won that race and did absolutely nothing the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, and he's a playoff driver too.
He could sneak in on points for that last four. He's still alive. He's 9 below.
Or he could win at Martinsville. Yeah, I wouldn't put it.
If he's good, if he's doing decent with the short track package, I mean, he could get it done at Martinsville.
Yep.
Also, did you guys hear that Tony Stewart wants Cole Custer out?
Yeah, he wants to.
You heard that?
Gene Haas put his foot down and said no
because he wants to put Riley Herbst in that seat for some reason.
Well, and Tony Stewart wants Priest.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Ryan Priest. Sorry, Priest.
Yeah.
He needs a ride somewhere because I think he'd be really good. It's just, do you wait him out one more year until, because Harvick's gone after next year. He already said that. I think you tell Priest, look, we're going to put you in the 98 this year, and then we'll put you in the 4 next year. If you can't get him on the grid this year, put him in the 4 in 2023.
We actually didn't even talk about Kurt Busch retiring.
Yeah, and all the hullabaloo, which we can actually get into that a little bit after the break. So we're going to take a quick breather. And when we come back, we'll talk about the unfortunate Kurt Busch retirement. And Haas finally has a sponsor that isn't a scam. We'll talk about this on the other side of the... Yep. We'll talk about this on the other side of the break here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans. If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los straight. Here to give you what you want. Here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, what's up, sports fans? You're looking for a different type of sports talk show, something you haven't heard before? You gotta check out the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday on 2 Live Stews Radio, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sports talk at its finest. Always have great guests, playing some good hip-hop. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to tune in to the BS3 Sports Show every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Lopan, they didn't even want you.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
And we are back here on the Extra Mile iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Christopher, Michael, and of course myself, Daryl, here with you. And folks, if you love what you're hearing here on iSports Radio, make sure you check out our Patreon. $5 a month gets you a shout out on all 32 of our shows, and higher tiers get you access to the Podcasting University, free merch, and a chance to be on our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you so much for helping iSports Radio continue to be your direct feed for all that is sports. And we do have 4 Patreons that we have to shout out. Of course, Bay Area Raised, MLO's Great, Key to the Gate, and 1 anonymous Patreon user. Thank you so much. So let us go ahead and continue on with the show. We're going to briefly talk about Formula One, because stick around actually at the end of this show. We're going to get into a lot of Formula One afterwards a special commercial-free episode where we are going to talk about the 2022 season in review, which ended, of course, with Max Verstappen winning the championship. So make sure you stick around for that. But United States Grand Prix coming up this weekend. Haas F1 announced they have a new sponsor, MoneyGram, going to be the title sponsor of Haas F1 from 2023. The company's probably going to pay around $40 million a year for that posting there. It's going to be a lot of money for Haas. And the best thing about it, Chris and Michael, the company's not actually a scam. They're legitimate.
Yep, you can go online and Google them and find their stuff.
You can find Rich Energy online.
Yeah, you gotta look.
Find Rich Energy online and is a very quotation.
I can't walk into 7-Eleven and get it.
Has anyone actually had Rich Energy? I can't. I've never seen it
All
anywhere.
right, so if we find it, the Extra Mile should do a taste test of Rich Energy.
Let's do a taste test on Red Bull.
I think all of us has had Red Bull, Chris.
We've all had Red Bull. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
It was good. It's just.
But just think, with every Red Bull that you buy, that's a little money in Christian Horner's pocket.
Look, I'm not paying for Red Bull's catering fee again.
Look, they had to give Latifi his lifetime supply of Red Bull.
That could not have been cheap.
No, that may be the $2 million that they're over. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Was it Red Bull green or Red Bull blue?
Probably green, like how they trolled Aston Martin with the green Red Bulls.
I just want them to make a Red Bull silver now.
I mean, they kind of do.
Yeah, I think that's just a regular can at this point.
Yeah, red.
So MoneyGram is actually based in Dallas, Texas. So that's why they made the announcement this weekend. They do cross-border P2P payments and a money transfer company based in the United States. They have existed since 1980, and they are on the NASDAQ and the Russell 2000 component, as well as MGI. I basically bring all that up to say they are legitimate. They're an actual company. It's not another fly-by-night. It's not a Euro-Cali situation for Haas F1. So they're good. They're going to have some decent money. They won't have to change the colors that much to fit their new sponsor. And just with all their trials and tribulations, guys, I'm just so happy they have some stability on the sponsorship front.
Yeah, I'm glad they finally got some legitimate cash going into that car.
And I wonder what kind of impacts that might have on somebody like Andretti, who we had kind of pegged as Haas as kind of being an easy sale maybe for Andretti. And this kind of pumps a little new life into the Haas F1 team. So I'm just kind of wondering where that might leave Andretti. You know, where does that leave them?
I don't know. They've been really quiet on that whole F1 thing ever since the summer. You know, it's quieted down on that front. So who knows what's going on with them at this point.
I'd like to see an Andretti Porsche.
I would as well.
That'd be a good pairing.
Yeah, the problem is Porsche kind of put all their eggs in one basket, and now they just kind of fell off now that the Red Bull deal died.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of the big stories coming out of Formula One going into Texas. Also, we were talking about it over the break. McLaren decided to do this thing where they put digital signboards on the cars and the helmets. Apparently, Chris did the math. They're about 2 pounds a piece. And everyone's been complaining about the weight of these cars. And if McLaren is significantly slower this weekend, we're all going to know why. It's going to be their fault.
Well, if Alpine doesn't explode, they'll get some free points on them.
Yeah.
If they don't explode.
Yeah. Alpine should be so much further along. And I feel sorry for Zhou Guan Yu because, like, all but I think one of his retirements have been mechanical.
Yeah.
because I can't think of anyone where it's really been his fault. Even, Silverstone, he just kind of got turned by somebody else.
Silverstone, but that wasn't really necessarily his fault.
Yeah, he's shown to be a really good racer. It's just a lot of things.
He hasn't had the opportunity to prove himself.
Yeah.
No. I think about the only way that I can say it.
Yeah, which he has to do that at least next year because, seats in F1 go if you don't perform.
Yep. I think he's probably got it. I think he's got at least another year, though. Just because, how can you let a guy go when, he can't even finish a race most of the time due to mechanical? It's so unfair to him if they were to even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't let a guy go where the car has failed him more than the driver this season. And you can really say with Alfa Romeo, the car failed Zhou Guanyu this year. But on the flip side of that, Mick Schumacher, Gene Haas, Günther Steiner, which is the most German-sounding Italian name I've ever heard in my life, by the way.
Günther Steiner.
They've been very clear. He's got to score points the rest of the season if he wants that rod next year. They are kind of tired of the wrecks and the destroyed race cars, and they've put down the gambit. If you want this seat, you get points. So, do you guys think starting this week, it's the first test, does Mick Schumacher get those points to help keep him in his Haas F1 seat going into next year?
My question would be is who do we even think they've got coming up to replace him?
People keep saying Nico Hulkenberg, but he's been out for so long. I
think
Sargent.
Well, they already have the veteran driver Kevin Magnussen. I think they put like another fresh blood in there. Because I'm keeping on the precedent that if you have a veteran driver and then you have the rookie driver to offset the veteran driver.
Yeah, the thing is, Sargent is with Williams, which is a Mercedes-backed team. So how are they going to get him?
Nick DeVries.
Albon was with Red Bull.
I was about to say Nick DeVries proved that notion is BS. So
I would reach a lot of allegiance switching this year.
Well, because these young kids want to get into cars. They're tired of just sitting in the back of garages doing nothing, or racing series that aren't Formula One. Because DeVries was in Formula E. They want to be on the Formula One seat, and they're going to whatever open seats are available. Now, all this just says we need more teams, Formula One, but we'll see what happens. We need 3 more teams to get back to 26, is basically what all this is saying.
At least one. I would like to see one more team before 2026, and then maybe another team or two when the rule changes. I know we won't even see a new team before 2026, but it would be nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. The United States Grand Prix will actually be on at a decent time slot for us here in the United States. It'll be like 2 p.m, so make sure you check that out. It'll be on, I believe, on ABC this week. So we'll go back to NASCAR before we do Nearest the Win to catch up on some housekeeping. Kurt Busch, unfortunately, got concussed out of the league. He announced this week, or actually not this week, last week, that 2023 is not going to happen for him as a full-time driver. He is done. Tyler Reddick is going to come into that seat next year, so it'll be the Reddick and Bubba show in 2023. Guys, how do we look back at Kurt Busch's career? Because I said it in a TikTok. He went from having one foot out the door and the second foot lifting to being one of the leaders in the garage area, and that is no mean feat for what he was after he won the championship and then after the whole Driscoll situation.
So I think the best way to put it would be, we all know where Kurt started, right?
Mm-hmm.
We even talked about it, or at least I talked about it earlier on this episode. He was a hothead. He was definitely probably not having a long-term trajectory in the sport just because he would get himself into trouble. But he's really rebounded in a great way. It's been really a redemption story. Um, and he's a completely different person than he was 15 years ago. And I think if you're looking for a real testament to who he's become, on the Dale Jr. download this week, Dale was saying that he wants Kurt in a upper level management position in NASCAR. He'd like to see him as like the head of the technical side with car development, or even more of like almost like a race director role. And this is Dale Jr. just kind of spitballing, saying that he wants Kurt involved in NASCAR and he wants Kurt to have a high level management position in NASCAR. And we've said this many times on this show. There is no greater advocate for NASCAR than Dale Earnhardt Jr. Mm-hmm. And when he was talking about Kurt Busch in this way, it really was like, okay, nobody loves the sport more than him. And if Dale says that that's a good idea, then I support it. And I know that's, not very critical thinking of me, but I just have faith in Dale Jr. that he knows what this sport needs when it needs it.
Oh, I'll agree with it. I mean, Kurt has been a great ambassador, and he's so good at the TV thing that I hope he gets to do that at some point as well. But if he ended up being in the management position, I think he'd do wonders. He needs to be in the competition committee. Well, and Lord knows we need some current drivers on that.
And what Dale was saying is that one of the reasons that they really like having Kurt involved in testing is because he's so technical with his feedback. Mm-hmm. And that's why Dale said that if you're looking for a driver to give you feedback on cars, he said that Kurt is one of the best in the business. Like, he's just so technical about everything. He's the guy you want running, like, the NASCAR technical side of things.
Yes.
And that's a very big that's a big thing to state publicly.
Yes.
Endorsement. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. I mean, it's a ringing endorsement, and Junior knows his stuff about this sport. He is a NASCAR historian at this point. I am so glad to see that Kurt Busch, though, that he survived, and he is probably on his way to a Hall of Fame spot. I was kind of going back and forth on whether or not he's a Hall of Famer. I'm starting to trend towards yes. What do you guys think? Is Kurt Busch a Hall of Famer?
I think he gets it. I mean, he won the championship. He's won a lot of races. He's had his moments where he's fell from grace and then came back to win. Came back and still was winning, still was making the playoffs, still was competing. And yeah, I think he gets it.
I think he gets it. I don't think he's a first ballot. I do not think that, to be honest. But I bet you probably his third year in consideration, he probably gets it. I think he'll get in eventually. I think he will. I just don't think that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Those are not very frequent, maybe two in a generation. One in a generation. And I don't think he's this generation. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was that generation's first ballot. And I think your next first ballot is Kyle Busch. I think
Kyle Busch is absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Correct. And then probably the next person after that, I don't even know if Kevin Harvick is, to be honest with you. I don't think he's a first ballot. I think he's second year, depending on who's with him.
Really? I think Kevin Harvick might be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think the taking over Dale Sr. is going to push him over the top of being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Not only
That
just
could
that,
be.
but he won as soon as he took over the seat.
Yeah, he did, and I'm still mad about that. Jeff should have won that race. Actually, no. I'm so glad Jeff Gordon did not win that race, because he would not have gotten out that building. They would have needed the Atlanta State Troop or the Georgia State Police to get Jeff Gordon out that building,
Are you sure
out
just
that
the state
stadium.
police? Are you sure they wouldn't have needed the National Guard?
They would needed the National Guard, the Army, the Marines, everybody getting him out of there if he beat Kevin Harvick that day.
Remember last year when we said if Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen collided at Zandvoort last year, the Dutch National Guard was gonna.
Well, that's because there had been collisions in the 2 previous races.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at that point, they had knocked each other upside the head like twice.
At that point, we're lucky that they didn't need it at the race before Zandvoort.
I think that was Monza at that point, because that's when they ended up parking on top
I thought it
of
was
each other.
Hungary. No,
Was it
Hungary was
Hungary?
earlier in the year.
No, it was Hungary was the bowling for Red Bulls.
Right
And
after that was right after Silverstone.
Yeah, and then we went to
Silverstone,
Monza.
Hungary, and then summer break. Because we had said please God, do not let there be another collision this week. And then Valtteri Bottas is like, you know what, guys, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And
Yeah,
I just
Valtteri
dropped-
Bottas said, "Y'all didn't say I couldn't touch him."
That's-
Bottas was like,
I apologize. I gotta put $1 in the swear jar.
Yep.
Actually, an F-bomb should be like $5.
Valtteri Bottas decided to go wee bowling at IRL.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then it's
kinda,
like we had to listen to Christian Horner all summer break. I'm like, oh my God.
that was painful.
Each other.
Even as a Red Bull
was.
fan, that was painful.
It was. It's like, we get it, Christian. Shut up. And then they go to Spa, nothing happens, and then Monza happens.
Well, Spa, something happened.
What, rain?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
right. The rain debacle. I forgot about that.
Don't we all wish we could?
You know, it would be great if you guys would just test the wet tires, but you guys don't want to test the wet tires.
That's
Yeah.
a story. That'll probably have to be a story for next show, but Lord have mercy.
We talked about it a little bit on the last show, but it was interesting to see Pirelli call out the teams like that, though. Like, oh, you guys complain about bad tires. Well, why don't you come test them for us?
Well,
You haven't
Pirelli's
done that
tired
so
of getting
far.
their
I mean, Pirelli's got it hard,
name
but at the
drugged in
same
the
time,
mud.
they kind of deserve it.
They've come a long
Yeah.
way, in my opinion, though. Compared to the 2011 days, they came a long way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
remember
but-
those 2011 tires? They used to last like a lap, and then they were done.
Yeah, that's when at Silverstone they blew up like 3 or 4 times, and the teams had made like 4 stops to get through that race. But yeah. So let's go to nearest the win before we decide to say goodbye. Or actually, we're not saying goodbye. We're going to say give us a second. So we're going to take a quick break and then come back. Of course, the championship has already decided, but still time to get points before the end of the year. And we have the U.S. Grand Prix, and we have Homestead coming up this week.
One of my favorite tracks. Should be the last track of the year, but
Yes, it should.
we're not gonna have that conversation.
The last time, our last picks, Todd Gilliland, Michael had Logano, and Chris had Byron. I'm pretty sure Todd Gilliland wasn't even in the race last week.
I don't know. I just typed in NASCAR point standings, and I just started scrolling down.
So I am going to.
I would have been
this-
pissed if you outscored us, though.
That would have been hilarious.
I was predicting that somehow Todd Gilliland was going to win. It'd be even more impressive if he wasn't even in the race.
Let me actually check. 'Cause I don't remember seeing him out of there. Oh no, was he in the race? Hold on, I'm searching. Yes, he finished 25th.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
I bet you if I didn't pick him for you, he would have finished 35th.
probably.
Yeah, he had that Daryl pick.
Daryl Luck.
That
Yep.
Daryl Luck.
So for this weekend, I am going to actually take the Melon Man, Ross Chastain, in his home state.
I was
lock
just
it
going
up.
to say,
See,
for
I'm
the
scared
last
to do
3
that.
races, you shouldn't be allowed to pick playoff drivers.
See, I'm scared to.
It doesn't matter. I've already won.
I know, but just to see what Michael and I can do to claw back a little bit.
No, like
Okay,
I'm
fine.
scared.
I'll pick BJ McLeod.
Oh, come on. Pick the next most person likely to win other than the playoff driver.
Okay. I'll be serious, not BJ. I mean, that's still a lot of good drivers at this
Cody
point.
Ware.
No. I don't even know who's in the race this weekend. I'll take Truex. I'll take Truex this week because he's out the playoffs.
See, I'm scared to pick Ross Chastain with Denny Hamlin.
I might even be leaning Kyle Larson. I think he might play spoiler.
I mean,
no, Tyler Reddick. I'm going Tyler Reddick.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I just think about it. What if Reddick was still in the playoffs, man?
I think Reddick is going to do it, and then he's going to do a one-fingered victory salute to Richard Childress up in the booth.
Oh, is he just going to stick his middle finger?
Yep, do a one-fingered Polish victory lap.
I'm going to go with, I'm just going to go with one of my favorite drivers here, Denny Hamlin.
Alrighty. And now we have the United States.
Hopefully there won't be a
Denny Hamlin does not do a very good job at Homestead, Miami, historically.
Well, this year has proven,
especially in the playoffs.
This year has proven, right, that anything is possible.
It is.
Okay. So if Ferrari cannot decide to pit a car on fresh super sauce, I don't put it past that Denny Hamlin can win a Homestead.
Well, it just depends on what plan they're on.
Yeah, they're on plan 89 anyway.
And for the United States Grand Prix, I am going to... I mean, we know Verstappen's going to win at this point.
Who do we have available to pick?
You two do not have... Oh, wait. Hold on. I got to bring the chat back up. I got to bring the...
I know last week I voted... I think last week I voted... Saints, maybe?
There it is. Michael, you took Sainz. Chris, you took Verstappen, and I took Latifi, just for the shits and giggles. Oh, that's $1 in the jar.
I'm going Paris.
I don't really need the points at this juncture, so I guess I'll take Leclerc.
Take Lewis.
I'm really going Paris just for the salt, just to put salt in the wound. Actually,
I'll take Lewis. Actually, yeah, I'll take Lewis.
I was gonna say I know it's gonna be Verstappen. It's just who finishes second, realistically.
Yeah.
You know what? Mercedes brought a new front wing. I'm gonna go Lewis, and I'm thinking that maybe he gets his win and then keeps his streak going of consecutive seasons with a win.
I think we would all love to see that. But hey, this is the checkered flag on this episode, but that doesn't mean we're done for the night. Stay right there. When we come back, we're going to have a special review episode where we're going to go for an hour. We're going to talk about the 2022 Formula One season, which ended in a win for Max Verstappen. So keep it locked right there. Christopher, Michael, and myself are coming right back here to talk to you about more racing here in the Extra Mile. I would say we'll see you at the next green flag, but we'll see you in just a minute.